by News Corps bragging that they are placing propaganda in The Simpsons, and the federal government is paying now openly. They were always doing it, but now openly to brainwash. Go ahead.
I got a little clip ready for you. It's about 60 seconds from the show. You want to hear it?
Go ahead.
Here it comes.
This just in, the suspicious bag detonated at Springfield Union Station today contained deadly plutonium, which can only mean one thing: a terrorist plot.
I admit it. Everything I've said about terrorism till now was fear-mongering. But today I monger the truth. To protect our city from all future bombings, dirty, clean, dive, or carpet, we have hired an outside consultant from London, England.
London is now ringed by the most comprehensive array of surveillance cameras mankind has ever seen.
Excuse me, is this what the framers of the Constitution would want?
Well, I'm Wally of Wally's Framers, and this is exactly what I want.
How many personal freedoms are we willing to give up in the name of security?
That blonde girl thinks she's smart.
Now all in favor of these cameras, say cheese.
Cheese!
Those opposed, say I hate America.
What? Oh.
Motion carries.
Is that cryptic enough for you?
Well, and it's sold like they're for liberties, but what it does is condition. Mike Riviero.
Yeah, it is. Actually, I think it was quite an interesting commentary on there. I'm not sure it's entirely in support of surveillance cameras there with the humor involved and everything. But I think it does illustrate the kind of processes that are going along with trying to scare people into a certain point of view. And especially that last part, we're seeing that already. Anybody who doesn't go along with the government hates America, or they're racists, or the rest of it. And I think I'm safe in saying that every one of us out here in the alternative media, you, me, all these other people who are trying to basically say we need to get back to the Constitution, we love America, or we love America as it's supposed to be, and we recognize that we've got this oligarchical, fascistic economic cancer at the heart of America that is taking us down a path we don't want to go down towards what inevitably is going to be collapse or a new world war. And I don't think I want to see either one of them in my lifetime.
I read the synopsis of the show. I didn't have time to watch it. Jason Burmas did watch it, and he said they basically frame Homer in it, and that Mr. Burns was involved in it. And so that's why I'm saying it was conditioning. So they're even throwing it in our face that they're basically framing people. But if somebody else saw the show, you can correct me on it. Unfortunately, I don't have time to watch The Simpsons. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm gonna ask about this situation in New York City. I've been glued to the television all weekend watching the propaganda from the Mockingbird media, and just got done seeing Eric Holder and Big Sis, Miss Napolitano on TV talking about how this was a huge terrorist attack. It was a deadly bomb. But hearing you the other day and hearing some people on the news, this was like a phony bomb. It was kind of a pretty bad job.
Oh, they're now calling for registering buying gasoline and propane. Because everybody could be a terrorist. I mean, if you use a baseball bat, you're a terrorist. And interviewing people going, I'm so scared. I'm scared to go out. I mean, we know whether it's staged, provocateur, or real, the way they're hyping it, that is the psychological terrorism right there to sell the police state. Mike Riviero.
Yeah, absolutely. It almost doesn't matter if it's a real event or staged, as I pointed out earlier in the show. Everybody's going to use everything that happens as an opportunity to push whatever their agenda happens to be. It's like everything that happens, it's raining day. How can I use this to sell my agenda? The bus is late. How do I use this to sell my agenda? Nobody's thinking facts and truth anymore. We're a nation entirely of propagandistic opportunity.
They've divided us 7 ways to Sunday. And it's all about group identity, and then all the groups have their little pimp leaders over them. Republicans, Democrats, whites, Hispanics, blacks. Where is it headed, Mike Riviero?
Well, you're right. They're trying to keep the population badly factionalized and keep us quarreling amongst ourselves, because the instant we all unite and recognize that government itself is the biggest threat to our lives, they have to keep us fighting amongst ourselves, or we're going to start fighting against them. There was a recent poll that came out. I think it was Pew Research. I may be wrong on that, but it basically said 80% of respondents viewed the federal government as the biggest danger to their lives. And so the government...
No, you're right. It was Pew Research, and Gallup and other polls have shown 75 to 81%. So it's all in the 75 or low 80 numbers. And they had other headlines like, now it's cool to hate the government. Now it's mainstream. Now Ron Paul's views are mainstream. It's not that Ron Paul or you or I or Julio hate the government. We hate this illegitimate, unconstitutional government that's violating the law. Why do we have these laws to restrain government? Because our founders had gone through a big, corrupt, pushy government.
You know, it's interesting. Obama did that speech at that university the other day, and he spent a huge portion of it telling these kids, you've got to be polite. You've got to tone down the anti-government rhetoric because you're just going to build support for the extremists. And he really spent more time on that issue than anything else in his entire speech.
Which shows they're weak.
Exactly.
I want you to finish up with that when we come back. They are panicking. They can be defeated. Stay there.
It's a pleasure to speak with you.
Turn your radio off. It's good to talk to you. Turn your radio off.
Okay, I'm in a warehouse.
Okay, I'm sorry. It was just real noisy. Go ahead.
Okay. First of all, I'm in New York, and I want to say, since you've played that clip, the false flags are at half-mast in Times Square. I just want to go over with you the propaganda.
Wait a minute. They put the flags at half-mast when no one died?
No, I was just making an analogy. The false flags are at half-mast.
Got it.
In Times Square. The propaganda that I've seen on the local news here, last night, Fox News, since they didn't have a suspect yet, were talking about how great it was to have video surveillance. And it's a lot like the show 24. And they kept using the word sexy to describe watching video after video trying to find a terrorist, how sexy it is. And another term that the reporter used last night was that we need a world-class surveillance, was the words used. And
I've been hearing that. I've been hearing that everywhere. We need cameras everywhere, or my gosh, we might have a person or two die a year. We better give up our whole way of life and give trillions of dollars to the Chertoff group. And I had some CIA veteran, part of the Chertoff group, on Fox saying, our way of life is ended. Yeah, and then they had Congressman Israel on saying, our way of life has ended. This is a new way. Oh my gosh, a truck full of gasoline. It's over. But every couple days, some house blows up from a gas main and kills a bunch of people. It's the end of the world. Somebody died. Mike Riviero.
Yeah, it is. It's fear mongering, and it's panic. They're basically, the government is trying to keep us afraid. And the problem with that is once a government starts using fear to control their people, they're going to have to keep using fear to keep them under control. If the government ever lets the fear subside, if they ever let the people calm down to where they can start thinking again, then it's really going to start falling apart on them. And I think that's what's happening now, because fear is very tiring. Fear burns itself out. And I think people are too tired to be afraid anymore.
And let me add the caveat. Let's not forget, Governor Ridge came out and wrote a book last year admitting that they were issuing the terror alerts and that they were fake, as we said 5-6 years ago. Yourself and myself and many others admitted that the terror alerts were fake for political gain. And they've been caught over and over and over and over and over again doing this.
Yeah, it is. It's all about the manipulation. I mean, they used to be able to wave communists at us, and we'd just pay taxes and send our kids off to die in wars. Then the Cold War was over, and ever since then, there's always going to be a new monster, a war on drugs, a war on terror, a war on carbon dioxide, a war on whatever. They're always going to come up with something new that we're supposed to be afraid of and give them money to protect us from.
And the New York Times also has an opinion article on their website today, Finding the Terrorist Next Door, in which they support a police state, and a term that is used throughout the article as well.
Yeah, no, I've been hearing it. It's just our way of life is over. America we've got to give all the money to the banks and the military. Sorry. But again, we have an elite that's used our government and our military and our tax money to dominate the globe. Of course they're going to rob us too. If they'll kill 1 million plus Iraqis for some weapon sales and oil and for strategic interest of Israel, of course they'll do anything to us. I mean, they see us as just as worthless as they see other people. I appreciate your call, Tim. Mike Riviero, always enjoy our once-a-month visit. Always great going back and forth with you. Very thought-provoking. And we'll talk to you again coming up in a month, God willing.
Thank you very much for having me.
You bet. There goes Mike Riviero, whatreallyhappened.com. I'm Alex Jones of Infowars.com, PrisonPlanet.tv, and PrisonPlanet.com. Don't forget our auxiliary websites, Infowars.net, JonesReport.com, and WhatIsTheEndgame.com.